Let me
country.
just stop you right there because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the
Well, Alejandro Mayorkas came out,
serious needs
Dana, and
assistance.
In a recent CNN interview, Dana Bash and Lara Trump's exchange highlighted the tension between political rhetoric and factual accuracy. The interview began with Lara Trump discussing an event in Butler, Pennsylvania.
yeah, well, let me just briefly say, Dana, that it really was a beautiful moment yesterday in Butler. And I think it was really important in terms of healing for this country. I don't think any of us will forget, whether you love Donald Trump or not, where you were when you found out what had happened to him on July 13th. And that's a traumatic thing to happen to a country.
As the conversation shifted to the upcoming election, Lara Trump painted a picture of overwhelming support for the former president.
But listen, you're right. The polling would indicate that things are neck and neck. I can tell you there were over 100,000 people at that rally there last night. I have never seen a crowd like that. You couldn't even see standing on the stage how far back the audience went. And I think that shows you that there is continued enthusiasm and growing enthusiasm for Donald Trump.
However, the interview took a sharp turn when Dana Bash brought up a controversial statement made by Donald Trump regarding Hurricane Helene relief efforts in North Carolina.
Laura, I want to ask you about something that the former president said last night on that stage, specifically about Hurricane Helene in your home state of North Carolina. He said that FEMA is only offering $750 to Americans who have had their homes destroyed. That's not true. He's also echoing conspiracy theorists online who falsely claim that the administration is redirecting disaster money for undocumented immigrants. That's also not true.
Lara Trump's response to this direct challenge was to deflect and pivot.
I'm incredibly concerned in North Carolina. I hear every day from people on the ground there, and they are desperate for help. It is a dire situation there. I actually think we don't even know the extent yet of truly how bad it is there. And look, Kamala Harris did come out and say it's $750 per family right now.
It was at this point that Dana Bash intervened forcefully.
Let me just stop you right there because I just want to not let this get out there. You are right that FEMA is giving $750, but that is a first step. It's for immediate needs. It's called the serious needs assistance.
Dana, and said
This exchange highlighted the crux of the issue, the spread of misinformation and its potential impact on disaster relief efforts. Lara Trump continued to press her point.
Right now, why don't they have anything in order? Why is it that right now the citizens in Western North Carolina are screaming for help, and it's having to come from local citizens? People from my hometown of Wilmington are driving across the state 6 hours to go to the mountains and help people.
It is bad.
Where is our federal government? Why are they out of money?
Bash, however, remained focused on the issue of misinformation.
It is bad there, but my question is about the misinformation, particularly the notion that they are moving money to migrants, you say undocumented migrants, which FEMA says flatly is not true. And if people are not getting correct information, then they can't go for assistance as they have been asked for.
The conversation then took a turn towards the broader issue of immigration and its perceived impact on disaster relief.
I just want to quickly play what Senator Tom Tillis.
Let me just say for 1 second.
Go ahead.
You have migrants being housed in luxury hotels in New York City. We have paid so much money from our tax dollars into the crisis that didn't need to happen. We could redirect money to help people immediately on the ground in North Carolina or in Florida, where we're probably going to have a situation coming up in the next several days.
That's a separate tranche of money. That's a separate tranche of money.
As the interview progressed, Bash shifted gears to address another controversial topic, Donald Trump's alleged response to the danger faced by Mike Pence on January 6th.
I want to turn to something that we learned this week about from prosecutors on Donald Trump's role in trying to overturn the election results in 2020. When Mike Pence's life was in jeopardy, an aide told prosecutors that Trump said, quote, "So what?" Do you think that's an appropriate response to the notion that his vice president's life appeared to be in danger?
Lara Trump's response was to downplay the significance of the January 6th events in light of other national concerns.
Well, I think that this is a ridiculous ploy, of course, in 30 days to an election to try and dissuade people from voting for Donald Trump. You know, the January 6th situation has been amplified to a level that I don't think is almost believable to so many people right now when they're struggling to put food on the table for their families, when they're struggling to fill up their gas tanks, when you have dog and cat euthanization rates at an all-time high right now because people are going to have to turn over their animals because they can't afford to have a family pet right now. When you have wars breaking out around the world, this is not the top concern for the people of this country.
As the interview neared its conclusion, Bash pressed Lara Trump on a crucial question: whether Donald Trump would accept defeat in the upcoming election.
Well, of course, if he feels that this is a free, fair, and transparent election, which, by the way, is my number one goal at the RNC. You mentioned at the top, I am the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, and our number one charge has been trying to make sure that we restore faith in our electoral process. There were a lot of people after 2020 all across this country who felt like maybe they couldn't trust that system. We want to restore the faith in that because it is really foundational, Dana, to who we are as a country, as American citizens.
Bash, however, was quick to point out the contradiction in this stance.
Part of the reason why people are so unsure about what happened in 2020 is because Donald Trump claimed that it wasn't a free and fair election. And there's no evidence to prove that. There were, 60 lawsuits where lawyers like the ones that you're hiring went through the process, which he had every right to do. And there was no evidence of widespread fraud. His Attorney General, Bill Barr, said that again. So it sounds like you're setting up the same question of free and fair when that is what we saw. So again, do you see a scenario where he will take a different approach this election year?
Lara Trump's response focused on changes in the RNC's approach to election monitoring.
Well, we are setting things up differently from the RNC standpoint. And we, instead of having to respond days, weeks, or months later to any issue that we might have, are going to have people in the room every time a vote is cast and counted so that we can ensure if there is any question about anything, we're addressing it right then in that moment, and we're not waiting later.
In the final moments of the interview, Dana Bash delivered a forceful rebuttal.
Again, it is our number one focus.
I want to say that there were more than 60 cases. They weren't clerical issues. And the thing that people need to understand is that if there was widespread fraud, as the former president still claims, he would have had to give evidence. And no judge saw evidence. His own attorney general didn't see evidence of that fraud.
This exchange exemplifies the tension between political narratives and factual accuracy in American discourse. As we approach another critical election, how do you think the media should balance challenging misinformation with fair reporting? Share your thoughts in the comments below.